Hello everybody, welcome back. It is me, your old pal Orpheus, with another edition of Orpheus Plays, here in Blade and Sorcery, the wonderful world, where you can pretend you're playing Dungeons of Dread, and wow, I flubbed that one. Rewind, okay, rented mouth, mine's in the shop right now. You can pretend you're in D&D, but in real life, and if nothing else, you can just watch me do this carnage and enjoy for the ride. Anyway, oh boy, so we are in the marketplace today. We are doing survival mode, and 3 weapons come out, blah, 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 waves get harder, all that. Anyway, so you know what that is about. What we're going to be talking about today, though, is something that's kind of interesting. And it is a job that I had a long time ago. And, you know, I think a lot of people take really weird jobs as they go through life, right? I'm sure you've had to take a few weird jobs. If you haven't, guess what? Sometime in your life, you're going to have to take some really odd jobs to make ends meet. At least most of you will. So let's get into that today as we get things started. Let's see what's going on. Where's my first victim? Where are you, Mr. Victim? Oh, good. Come here. Arnold wants to come here and stab you. Oh, yes. Good morning. I'll be your killer today. Good. Hello. Oh, you missed. This tiny little dagger. Don't you feel inadequate, sir? Don't you feel inadequate? That was weak. Let's do this. Dagger very strong. Anyway, so when I was growing up, and this was in college. It was during a summer term of college, and I had decided to live on campus. Well, I didn't have a lot of money because, ooh, little tiny flick right there, bam. I didn't have a lot of money. My parents were kind of pissed at me at that point. I don't remember why, so don't ask. It may have been something very stupid. It may have been something significant. Who knows? Whatever. It was something that went on. They were pissed with me. Whatever. So I wasn't getting any help from home in college, and that can be a bummer. So I was like, well, I need to get a job. So back then, you had to, go get a paper in order to find a job. And so I go and I get the local rag, and I'm looking through the classifieds, and it's like, there's all these stupid jobs, telemarketing, and, working at fast food and stuff. And while there's nothing at all wrong, wow, if there's nothing at all wrong with those kinds of jobs, they just weren't me, right? They're not the kind of job that I felt like doing at that point in my life. And so I decided not to do them. And so I kept looking, and I go and I see this one that's like, hey, you can be outdoors and you can be, going door to door to talk to people about something. No sales required, no anything, you'll be in the outdoors with a fun group of people and you get paid for it. And I'm like, well, you know what? That actually sounds pretty good because I had worked telemarketing jobs in my life so many times at that point. Telemarketing's awful, right? You call someone and you're like, hey, would you like to buy this thing? And it's like, no. Oh, are you sure? They're like, no. And you're like, please, I have a. What the hell? That is terrifying right there. What is good? Ooh. Oh, boy. Okay, Unity Engine, take me away. But, you want to buy this? No. You want to buy this? No. Oh, please, I have a quota. Oh, no. So you always have that stress from telemarketing. So I was kind of tired of that stuff. Those are jobs you can always get as a college person. Well, okay. So I go and I interview for this job, and it was a bunch of people sitting in the waiting room to do it, and they brought us all in for a big presentation. And that's the first alarm bell that went off, but I was like, wow. I was like, maybe this is going to be better than I think. So we sit through this presentation, and it was this guy. He was a younger guy, just out of college, you could tell. And he's talking about how, the world has all these needs, and we need vegetables and fresh produce and everything, but the companies out there are using too many, pesticides and too many preservatives and all that stuff. And so he says, our job at this company is to go door to door and raise awareness about, these companies using pesticides and giving people these alternatives that they should look for and ask for at their grocers and all that stuff. And, you get the point, right? We're supposed to go door to door. We're supposed to talk to people, give them brochures and, tell them about these companies, these large companies and what they do and all that stuff. And it's like, okay, well, whatever. So he says, this is going to be really fun. You'll be able to go door to door, inform people. We've had a lot of people say it's one of the most fun jobs they have. Hi. That's for you. They say it's one of the most fun jobs that they've ever had, you know, and it's like, oh, we'll pay you a base salary of, you know, this much money, and it didn't seem like a lot of money. It was like, you know, just north of minimum wage, and I mean like just north of it. And I'm going like, well, okay, what's the catch, right? Like, what is the catch here? Well, it turns out the catch is you have to walk around for, what was it? It was like 8 hours or 9 hours a day. And so what you do is you get into this van with a bunch of other people. They drive out an hour or two away from the city, and they would go to somewhere. And so you'd all get out, and it'd be like, you know, 8 o'clock in the morning or something, and you go, and each of you kind of just spreads out into the neighborhood, and you go, you know, and you go door to door, and you knock, and you talk to people, and you, how, man, and you give them these brochures, and you tell them all about that stuff. It seems, you know, like that could be a cool job, right? Well, here's the thing. We had a quota, and you're thinking, for what, right? You're just handing out information. Oh, no. We were supposed to solicit donations for this you know, organic organization, this advocacy group that was a you know, environmental awareness advocacy group. They have representation in Washington and all that. They need funding to keep going to tell people about. Wow. Sharp. They need funding to keep telling people and spread the message and blah blah blah. So you had a quota. You had to get a certain number of donations every day that you went out, or else you didn't keep the job, because they paid you just to. I keep chopping people in half. I didn't think I had it torso mod on. Anyway, so they're like, yeah, you have to get a certain number of donations every day, or else we'll fire you. And, you know, it's like, well, that's kind of a bummer. Well, the quota was like, what was it? It was like $200 or something a day, which is ridiculous. You're going, you know, how many times have you answered the door and seriously listened to someone that's selling something, first of all? Like, so let's say someone's got like a vacuum cleaner, right? Or a carpet cleaning solution or something, right? And they come in your house and like, let me demonstrate by vacuuming something off your floor and see how, you know, how clean that is, and let me show you the filter. See how much dust was in it. You know, you've had those people from Auric or wherever, they come to your house. So imagine that experience, except I'm not selling anything. I'm telling you about why we should feel guilty as a people for using pesticides in our farming, and what we can do to be different, and then asking them for money towards that effort, right? Okay, so how many people do you think I got actually to do this? Not a lot. And there were some people on that team that every day came in with like $500-600. How the hell are you doing this? And these are people that would they were really, really into it. Like, they were like, oh my God, we're hurting the little fluffy bunnies and everything. Now, whatever your opinion is about pesticides and farming and GMOs and all that. So you're going to shoot? Thank you. Whatever your opinion is on that stuff, we're not here to discuss that. Okay? I'm not here to tell you that it's wrong or right or whatever. I'm just saying that the people that were really into the environmentalism were the ones that usually were able to get more money. And I'm not really sure how they did that. Maybe it was just the enthusiasm or whatever. But it does seem that they were able to to solicit a little bit more from people, and I never really understood that. But here's something interesting that happened. So I had this job for maybe 2 weeks before I got fired. Okay, because I was not making any quotas. I think that the most I made one day was like maybe $75, right? And that was like, you know, I felt bad about it too. It's like, do you want to donate? Are you sure? Right? That kind of thing. So it was cold outside. I remember that. It was definitely a time of year that was cold, because there was so many times during that 2 weeks that I had to go to the bathroom, and I had to go, oh, you know, hi, my name's Orpheus from Environmental Activism, and I'm here today to tell you about pesticides. And before we do, can I go and use your bathroom real quick? You know, hi, I'm a total stranger here to talk about environmental stuff. Before we start, though, can I be alone, locked in one of the rooms in your house? You know? So So, that was awful. But what made it worse? Okay, so I'm a sci-fi nerd, right? I love all things that are sci-fi. I have a Star Wars collection that would make a lot of people cry in terms of collectibles and stuff. That is another video that I'm going to be getting into it at some point here about my Star Wars collectibles, the story of the Star Wars, right? But so I'm a sci-fi nerd. Ooh, little poke in the face. Ooh, oh Jesus. So I was really excited at that point in my life. And if you want to date exactly like the day that this happened, this one stands out for me. Now, normally I have such horrible Swiss cheese memory that I don't really have a lot of frame of context for things that have happened. I sort of do. Like in these stories, you'll hear me talk. Oh, you both got her. You'll hear me talk about like some of the things that have happened to me, and I have generalities, general periods of time where I can tell you where, when that happened. But most of the time, it's me going, I was 16 or 17-ish, right? This you can go look up the exact day that this happened. I'm out there, and it's getting dark, and I had a terrible day. Oh my God, I just remembered this is an embarrassing as hell story. Oh God, okay. Whew, all right, here we go. So I was having a really terrible day. I was feeling kind of sick. It was cold outside. And so if you know how that goes, if you have to go to the bathroom and it's cold, it makes it worse, right? Oh, man. Whew. And so I was, and where does the sci-fi thing come in? Hold on. We're getting there. Okay. So I'm out there, I'm doing my thing. It had been like maybe a half an hour left before we went to get picked up. Went back to the spot where we started. And so I'm outside this person's house, and it was the last one that I was going to do for the day. And I look at the screen, like I walk by their front window, and I look, they've got a big TV in their living room. And what I see starting up is the opening credits for frigging Voyager. The first episode of Voyager, the Star Trek series, right? With Captain Janeway and Tuvok and all that stuff. That was the first episode that night. And I saw it starting on on this screen in these freaking people's house, right? And I'm like, well, I got a half an hour, right? Because I can hear it just a little bit. And I'm like, should I creep outside these people's window for a half an hour? Where's my sword? Oh God. Anyway, so I'm like, should I creep outside these people's windows for half an hour just so I can watch some of the first episode? And I'm like, well, I don't know. Maybe I will. Maybe I won't. I don't know. Like, I don't really care about getting the donations. Like, seriously, I don't. And so, as I'm contemplating this, I feel a little rumbling in my stomach. And I'm like, oh no, right? Like, because these people were obviously fans of the show because they had it on and they were like looking all like, oh, as much as I was staring at the screen, right? So I'm like, oh God, I gotta go to the bathroom, right? And here's the part of the story where it gets bad. So I don't want to disturb these people. I have to go to the bathroom really bad, and I've kind of put myself. So there's like, oh God, how do I show this? There was like, okay, so their window is like here, and there were like these bushes, right? These tall bushes like this, and I'd kind of like put myself in between the bush and their window, and they had all their lights on inside, right? So they couldn't see out the window, they couldn't see me there. So I'm kind of watching it, and I'm like, oh God, I have to go to the bathroom. And so I just dropped trowel right there. And took a dump right there in front of their window while I was watching Star Trek Voyager through their window without their knowledge. I think I finished up. I know that I cleaned up with some of the brochures that we were giving out. because I found that to be completely fitting for what was going on. And I think I got fired like the next day. Like honestly, I think it was the next day. The guy was like, "You're not making any of your quotas, not even close." He's like, "What's wrong?" And it's like, I'm just not into this job, right? So I got fired, but I didn't remember until about 5 minutes into that story that that's what I did. Oh my god, that's so embarrassing. Anyway. Yeah, that job was one of those ones that I am not proud of, and I'm not proud of what I did during that one. But hey, you know what? You gotta survive, don't you? You gotta do what you gotta do, man. When nature calls, you can't just tell them to hold the phone. You know what I'm saying? Oh god, that's gross. Anyway, we'll see you on the next one. I'm gonna go and bandage up what's left of my pride. We'll see you in the next Orpheus Plays. Bye. Oh my god, why do I tell that story?